Hello, testing. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And thank you to you all for tuning in here. I just tested out the site and was able to view and comment from my phone as well, which is pretty handy. So, making progress. I'll also, just as long as I'm on a self-promotional kick here, include the Twitter handle in the comments here, because we send out live tweets every time a new stream is started. All right, so I'm just going to keep going here, guys. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments if there's something that I'm doing that interests you. Here's a little preview of where I'm headed.
Around and I feel so isolated. I talk to people, but I feel so unrelated. I tell them why their lives are fabricated. I try and try, but I can never be sated. I saw you take one more breath as we will call me wait for your death. I search to find the reason why. Instead, I cry.
So that's basically as far as I've got as compositing the video with the animated photos. There's a lot of tweaks and things that I would like to change, but at this point I'm just trying to get through the whole thing and roughly figure out where I want things to fall. So you can see here there's like an edge of a photo that I don't really want to be there in the end, but I don't really care about that right now because I'm just trying to figure out what serendipitous things are happening in the animation that I may want to keep. So one of those things is how these birds and lights and sky pictures all kind of came together when I started playing with the layers, as far as which layer is sort of semi-transparent, which I'd never really played with in After Effects. So this was kind of a fun experiment to do that. So I'm just going to keep going, and just stop me at any time if you want to. I kind of dig how that we still see him through the background there. So I'm going to leave that probably. Oh, you know what? I think I may need to get more video in here as well. Maybe not. Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Let me go back to the beginning here. So here we have our awesome subject. And the interesting thing about this is that I actually tried keying this in Premiere first. So I actually have Premiere open here as well. And it actually worked really well until I started playing with the different modes of the filters here. So basically what I ended up doing was I did the key in After Effects then using, I believe it's Ultra Key, if I am correct. Oh, Key Light. No, Key Light is the effect in here. It's Ultra Key in Premiere. But basically, yeah, the keying effect in After Effects for HD footage is really incredible. If you guys haven't played with it yet, you can do pretty quick keys in very little time. So I can probably just replicate this. Although one thing that I do quite often is save different versions of my project in case I do accidentally screw something up or delete something. It's always nice to have a version to go back to. So I'm going to do that really quickly here. And this is still called 8 milliseconds, even though the song has changed. All right, so let's go here and go to my effect controls. I'm just going to turn off this key light effect. Basically what I do, and what most people advise you to do when you're doing some keying, is to create a matte as close as you can around your subject. Just because that tells the plugin not to worry about anything that's outside of that matte. So it's actually doing less, I guess, computations to decide what color needs to come out of that image. But basically, we'll just put on another instance of this here. So here's our second instance of it, and basically I'm just going to grab the color green. That's usually I try and go for a darker color, and I try and get as close as I can to the subject's body. And with one click, it's basically gone. There's a lot of tutorials out there that will show you how you can go in and really play with it. I think I did actually have to increase the gain just a little bit when I did it in the original version. Here, let's take a look. Screen gain's at 50 still there. But you can see there I color picked a slightly different green, a slightly lighter green actually. But there's a lot you can do with viewing it, as well as you can view it in a matte version where you can clearly see what is and what is not keyed, which I typically don't do unless I need to. But essentially, if you've lit it reasonably well, it's pretty easy to take a key out. So I'm going to go back to my original here and get rid of that. If you're interested in more, just let me know. Trying to figure out why he's disappearing here. I don't want him to. Oh, that's because this pops over. It's this guy. Interesting. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like how the Washington Monument kind of comes out of nowhere there. Special bonus points if anyone can tell me the shortcut for jumping from one edge of your composition piece to the other. I always forget it, and I always have to go find it. So maybe now that I have a class of filmmakers there, you guys can help me out. Oh yeah, the moon. Shift? No. Shift J? No. Oh, look at that. That is so cool. So here you can see the edge of the green screen there, which is, not supposed to be there. Because this video is so gritty and weird and kind of 80s inspired, I'll probably get rid of it, but it almost looks like it's supposed to be there because it looks like his shoulder there. So it's almost like you could get away with something like that. But that is a really cool effect of the moon being overlaid on him and then shrinking down there. The interesting part would be is if I cut back to the actual moon image here at some point. That's pretty cool, though. I like how that's looking. I'm going to try these guys as well. So basically, to kind of get these effects, I've basically just been playing with different permutations, I guess, of these layer effects, and just kind of seeing what's working, what's not. Seems like the classic color burn is kind of a fun one, but because there's so many layers, I've just played with different combinations and seen what's worked. See, so this doesn't. I'm not really liking this because I'm not really able to see all the different things that are going on now. So let's not do that. want to be able to see the face, which I'm not really able to do right now. Let's try a different one. And actually, another interesting thing I could do here is just play with the transparency. Still can't see him. Oh, it might be because this layer is still going over him. No. Seems to be our scissors is the culprit here. Oh, that's why, because there's no matte on that guy. So as you can see, this process is very trial and error, really. You know, I wanted to create this project that I didn't really know exactly what we would be getting as we went along. I'm gonna have to take a phone call, guys, so just bear with me for 1 minute here. Hello? Okay, and I'm back. Let me know if hopefully you guys can hear me again. I think you should be able to. I'll double check that. Yeah, we have levels here. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm going to keep going here. Feel free to ask any other questions or what have you. So now we can actually see through there, which is what we want. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to the beginning and watch it all the way through and see if we're seeing anything interesting now.
around and I feel so isolated. I talk to people, but I feel so unrelated. I tell them why their lives are fabricated. I try and try, but I can never be sated. I saw you take one more breath as we will calmly wait for your death. I search to find the reason why. Instead, I cry and I cry.
Not too bad. Not too bad. It really does look great when there's like multiple images coming together. Just because you have like no idea what all this stuff is, but it just makes a really interesting effect. So these are scissors that are sitting on a table, and this is like a deer that's standing up against a brick wall, but just all the different patterns really come together cool, I think. So this is an interesting one, because this is actually like a graveyard. So let's just play with this as its own image and see if we need to crop it at all. Now, it's been a while since I've played with all these, so I'm going to actually just go through these layers, see if any one strikes me. That's kind of neat how the tops of each of these kind of come through on the skin tone there. The other interesting thing about this is that this take that we used is all slow motion. So it just kind of gives it that ethereal feeling the way he's singing. I don't know, that's kind of cool. Let's take a look at some more. I don't really like how dark and how that's so dark. That's even cooler, that red. That's pretty cool too. I do like that against the white. It's the classic color burn. That would be interesting, except that his mouth is kind of covered up at the top of that one. So this is the other advantage of shooting this against the green screen, is because we've already pulled that key. With certain of these layer views, it reacts differently. And, you know, I don't know anybody who just happens to know which layer view will work with what, but it just provides some really interesting surprises. I kind of actually like that. It's a little bit more subtle than that red. Oops. I don't like how the moth is covered up there. Face. I'm not sure which lines you mean to shine on the face. Like in the actual video? Or these, the lines of the tombstones? Yeah, can you clarify that? And then hopefully I can maybe answer it a bit better. The lines of the tombstones just come through because they're the lightest thing in this image. So with this layer mode, whatever color burn is doing, this is probably old photography talk of burn and dodge, burning the image, so I can remember correctly. I don't remember, actually. We'd have to look up what burning and dodging still means. White and glowing on his face. And not the background. I don't know, honestly. To be quite honest, I'm not sure. A lot of this is just sort of trial and error. So I was basically just going through here and playing with the different layer modes and seeing what looks cool. So that's about all I know. I know that this phenomenon is happening because this is the lightest image in this overlaid photo, and basically what's happening is color burn is telling that layer to let the lightest image through, so whatever's brightest will come through. So hopefully that answers it. I don't know. If not, then I can maybe look into it and do a tutorial or something in the future. Another thing that hopefully we will have as a feature in this app, in this Watch Me Work app, will be the ability to have questions and comments and interaction through other people's microphones, which would be really, really helpful for those kinds of things where it's a complicated question to ask or answer. So this is an interesting point. Like this little section here, I really like how this is sort of slowly animating onto his face. But it feels like it ends too soon. It jumps to this image. But rather than trying to retime it now, I'm going to keep pushing through because I just sort of want to see what some of these other images are going to look like, and then I can change the timing of how long we stay on some of these. So I hope that you guys are getting good content out of watching this. And I hope it's sort of illustrating potentially what the power of sharing our streams openly can do. That's pretty neat how that comes together. So like I said, a lot of this is just trial and error, seeing what effects sort of work really well. And this is the nice thing about doing a music video, is that nothing really needs to make sense necessarily. A lot of times you just get some serendipity between putting images together, and then you can sort of derive meaning from that. So So again, like all these images to me are feeling like they happen way too fast. But once I sort of get to where I'm going, I can always change the pace of some of these and elongate them. Especially if I need to know that I need to put way more images in, because I'm really have only done less than half of the animations on the photos. So I've got a lot more photos to animate and decide how I want them to come together. That's pretty cool. Like that too. Sometimes things just work out.
around and I feel so isolated. I talk to people, but I feel so unrelated. I tell them why their lives are fabricated. I try and try, but I can never be sated. I saw you take one more breath as we will calmly wait for your death. I search to find the reason why. Instead, I cry, and I cry. I still remember, and then I can feel human again. I thought I lost my precious friend. No, this can't be the end.
So that's another kind of cool thing about working in a medium like this. What seems too short when you're looking at it up close in the context of watching the whole thing together, it actually looks really pretty good, which is good and bad because it means I need to do a lot more animating. But I'm really, really happy with how this is looking. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of fine-tuning with some things, but in general, I'm pretty darn happy with it. So one of the things that I really did not expect to get from this kind of process, this idea, is that it really looks like we're using a projector to actually project images onto him here, which I didn't really think we could do. I never really conceived of trying to achieve this effect in After Effects. I would have thought that, okay, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to set up a projector and actually project things on somebody, but it really does give that effect, which is pretty darn neat and can always serve for future ideas. So that's kind of one of the good things about experimenting with this stuff, is that you stumble upon ideas that will, give you future ideas. It's not eloquent. And Mr. Van Houw can tell you guys that this look and feel is pretty far from what we originally conceived of, but I think sometimes it just comes together better when you leave a little wiggle room. That's pretty neat.
I saw a mirror and I've been reinvented.
So what's interesting about this area here is that using this divide layer mode, the brightness of the background is not really changing, but it's really his image really comes through when the image is zoomed in. And for whatever reason, as the image gets bigger and more pixels, I guess, are in there, it blows out through the dark areas so much more. And maybe it's just that because, that's probably more along the lines because it's not so dark there, and then we get into the dark patches. Okay, I lied. But it does give that illusion, which is pretty neat. This is a cool image to work with. Let's see what else we can do with it. I liked divide the most so far. Because otherwise it just looks like he's being put in jail, which doesn't really, it's a little heavy hitting. That's pretty neat. I think I like divide the most here.
I saw a mirror and I've been reinvented. I saw.
So one thing that is interesting with all of this, because I do have so much more to go, and because so many of the images, it's not really clear what they are, what I might end up doing is copying some of these and reusing them with different layer effects to see if I get other interesting usage out of some of the same footage. Because we are at 1:30, and we've got about twice as much more to go. So anyway, that's just kind of thinking out loud here. Let's watch it one more time.
Around and I feel so isolated. I talk to people, but I feel so unrelated. I tell them why their lives are fabricated. I try and try, but I can never be sated. I saw you take one more breath as we will call me wait for your death. I said to finally So why instead I cry and I cry. I still remember, and then I can feel human again. I thought I lost my precious friend. No, this can't be the end. I saw a mirror and I've been reinvented.
And I just realized there's an edit there that I'm going to have to cover up somehow. But that is about all I can do for today because I need to get some other stuff done. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please consider tuning in to watch me work on a regular basis or streaming yourself because it's pretty fun. That's all I have, and hopefully this was really good for everybody. I certainly appreciated it. Thanks, guys, and I will see you next time.